reporting back on behalf of Simon and Michael in there, and Mary and Alan, and these are our thoughts. We took the brief slightly differently in that we've taken the idea about how do I adapt and thrive in the market. We use my business as a case study, but then we've opened it out to some learning points which I hope are going to apply to everyone in this room. So there's 3 key action points which will apply to my business, but hopefully will apply to yours as well. I'm in the business of management training, though I do some executive coaching and consulting as well in those sort of areas. 3 major problems facing the business at the moment. One is it's a very obvious line on the budget, therefore if firms are in difficulty, cut the training is an easy thing to do, even though if they're not operationally very busy, this could be an excellent time to actually be doing some training. The second is that everyone who gets made redundant goes out and becomes a trainer. I have a reputation. I obviously make it look such fun that all my clients become trainers and set up in opposition. In fact, most of my associates are my former clients, but that's a great way of building relationships with people. And the third problem is the commoditisation of training, where you're dealing with purchasing professionals to whom training is like a laptop or a pad of paper, and they don't understand the differences that there may be. But we decided rather than take those as separate issues, we'd just look at some generic issues in the hope of distilling some key points which are going to be applicable for you and your situation. And the first one was around how do we actually label ourselves? And the thought that if training, for example, is a word that they're not looking for, then maybe we need to do a bit of rebranding. This may have implications for search engine optimization and those sort of areas as well. But should we be calling ourselves project managers or change agents or capability builders? You know, anything that doesn't trigger the knee-jerk response of, oh, we're not doing training at the moment. The second area we looked at was around infamy. As the Carry On film pointed out, you know, infamy, they've all got it in for me. But how do we become the go-to person? Because training, and I'm sure for many of our specialisations, people don't stick a pin in the yellow pages or just look and see who comes up in a Google search. They go by all sorts of recommendations, word of mouth. So what can we do to become the go-to person that people say, you ought to be talking to Penny? How do we position ourselves through perhaps doing things like articles? And we talked about not just doing them in the obvious forums, not for me just Personnel Today or whatever, but perhaps in something like the Costco magazine or the Parish magazine, which people may be reading in their off-duty moments and may see something there which is a bit different. So you're not competing with the rest of the marketplace. There may be a place there for blogs, for social marketing. We had some cynicism in the group, but I won't go into that. And the need to not be irritating. And we compared and contrasted the meerkat, who is the #1 toy for Christmas, with the irritating tenor that nobody seems to like. So making sure that you get that pitch right and that you're a meerkat and not a tenor. And think about, are there ways you can do it differently? You know, what is your USP? Why would they want to buy your service and not someone else's? And a lot of that has already been mentioned, is going to come about through networking. And we talked about the gestation of networking relationships, the time it can take to get people to the point where they are the decision makers, the budget holders. But very, very important. And I think LinkedIn is a key instrument in doing that. Perhaps more wary of Facebook and that sort of thing, particularly when I'm working with graduates. Yes, I have to advise them that talking about your pharmacological abuse at the weekend and picture of you with a traffic cone on your head may not do a lot for your credibility in the organisation. So what do we do to make sure people do know what our credibility, our professionalism, our USP is? And our third area is around making sure we diversify our base. Not that we're just trying to sell the same things to the same people, that we look outside the UK, global, EC particularly, that we look back at organisations where we've got history and credibility. Not necessarily to work with those organisations, but to work with the organisations who would like to work with those organisations and appreciate that we have some kind of inside track. If you're Kellogg's, knowing how Sainsbury's or Tesco's works could be very useful. I was latterly in American Express. There may be a number of customers or even competitors of American Express who might be very interested in some of those insights. So are there some areas that we can do around there? And can we create a new market? Can we see what isn't being done and make sure that we're providing the product that meets there? What is keeping our potential clients and customers awake at night? If we can create the product for those, then we've got a way ahead. So those were our 3 action points for everyone here. Think about the way we brand ourselves, think about how we become the go-to person, and think about how do we diversify our customer base. Mm-hmm. Anything from the rest of the team that I haven't highlighted? Any general questions or comments?